When most people think about becoming rich, they imagine sudden dramatic moments like a lottery win or an unexpected promotion or a business that explodes overnight. These stories are exciting, but they are extremely rare. In reality, real wealth is almost never built this way. Most people who eventually become wealthy don't even notice it happening. It grows slowly and quietly. They go about their daily lives thinking they are just living normally, yet their money is quietly compounding, quietly accumulating, and quietly transforming their future. Wealth is built on small, repeated decisions that may feel insignificant in the moment, but over time create massive results. 1. Control lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation is one of the biggest reasons most people never build real wealth, and the dangerous part is that it's almost invisible. It doesn't happen all at once, and it shows up slowly as your income increases. You upgrade your phone, you buy slightly more expensive clothes, you start eating out more often, you add a few subscriptions. Each change feels small and harmless. You tell yourself, I earned this, or I deserve it. And that's true. But when all these small upgrades happen at the same time, they quietly consume every extra dollar you make. So your income grows, but your wealth doesn't. Wealthy people approach this differently. Instead of upgrading their lifestyle immediately, they pause and ask, do I really need this right now? Or can this wait? Would investing this money move me closer to my long-term goals, or just give me temporary pleasure? That pause is powerful, because while others are increasing their spending, they're allowing their extra income to grow silently in investments. And over time, that small decision creates a massive difference. Imagine getting a $200 raise every month. It feels like extra money to enjoy, and most people spend it without thinking. But if that same $200 is invested consistently, it compounds quietly for years, turning into tens of thousands of dollars. Meanwhile, the person who spent every raise sees no real long-term change. That's the difference. Controlling lifestyle inflation is not about deprivation, and it's not about saying no to everything. It's about being intentional, choosing what truly matters, and giving your money the space to grow without friction. Because wealth is not built by big, dramatic moves. It's built by small, disciplined decisions repeated over time. Wealthy people delay lifestyle upgrades. They ask themselves, do I really need this right now? Could I wait and invest this money instead? Will buying it now improve my long-term goals or just give me temporary pleasure? By pausing before spending, they allow extra income to grow silently in investments. 2. Avoid small, repeated leaks. Big expenses get all the attention. Car payments, rent, tuition. But that's not where most money quietly disappears. The real damage comes from small, repeated leaks. The ones you barely notice, like a coffee every morning, subscriptions you forgot you had, impulse snacks, or a convenience purchases that feel too small to matter. Each one seems harmless, but repeated daily, weekly, monthly, they slowly drain your wealth in the background. This is where wealthy people behave differently. They don't just look at the big expenses, but they also pay attention to the tiny ones. They identify the leaks and reduce them, or they redirect that money into investments. And that's where the shift happens, because a small amount, repeated consistently, becomes powerful. Skipping a $5 daily coffee saves about $150 a month. That's $1,800 in a year. Invested over 20 years, even with modest returns, that single habit grows into tens of thousands of dollars. Not because the amount was huge, but because the action was repeated. That's the real power of small money. One-time sacrifices may feel difficult, but small, consistent savings build wealth quietly, without stress, without effort, and almost without you noticing. 3. Eliminate high-interest debt first. Before money can grow, the leaks must stop. And high-interest debt is the most aggressive leak of all. Credit cards, payday loans, or short-term personal loans. With interest rates of 15% or 20%, sometimes even higher, the balance keeps growing every single day. Think about it like this. If you owe $1,000 on a credit card at 20% interest and do nothing for a year, you now owe $1,200. That extra $200 didn't improve your life. It didn't buy you anything. It was simply the cost of time passing. Now compare that to investing. A steady long-term investment might return about 6% or 7% per year. So the same $1,000 invested grows to around $1,060, maybe $1,070. The math becomes very clear. If your debt is growing at 20% while your investments grow at 6%, you are losing ground. You're trying to climb upward while the ground beneath you is sliding back. Wealthy people think differently about debt. They know there's no point trying to grow money while something in the background is shrinking it. So before they focus on investing, they remove high-interest debt, because paying off a debt with a high interest rate is one of the best financial moves you can make. If your credit card is charging you 20%, clearing that debt is like earning a guaranteed 20% return with no risk. And almost no safe investment can give you that. It may not look exciting. You won't see your money growing. There's no big win, no impressive chart. But what you gain is far more powerful. You free your income. You reduce stress. You take back control. Now your future investments can actually grow without being pulled backward by interest, because real wealth doesn't start with making more money. It starts by stopping what is silently taking your money away. 4. Pay yourself first. Most people get paid. Then they start spending on bills, food, entertainment, small, fun purchases. And whatever is left, if anything is left, is what they try to save. But usually, there's nothing left. Wealthy people reverse this order. The moment they receive their income, a portion is automatically moved into savings or investments before they spend a single shilling. They pay themselves first. And this works for 3 powerful reasons. First, it trains your brain to see saving as normal, not as something optional. Second, it removes temptation. The money is gone before emotions have a chance to use it. And third, it allows small amounts to grow quietly over time into something meaningful. Because 10% may feel small. At the beginning, you barely notice the difference in your lifestyle, but month after month, that amount keeps accumulating in the background. And over the years, it becomes life-changing. Imagine someone earning $2,000 a month and automatically saving $200. After 1 year, that's $2,400. After 5 years, it becomes $12,000. When that money is invested, it doesn't just get bigger from what you put in. It begins to grow from its own growth. And over many years, that's what turns small amounts into large ones. So this is not about heroic discipline, and it's not about forcing yourself to save. It's about removing the decision completely, because willpower is inconsistent, but automation is reliable. And over decades, this single habit becomes the foundation of wealth. People who pay themselves first consistently rarely struggle financially later in life. They build freedom quietly, month after month, without feeling like they are sacrificing anything. 5. Automate your savings. Paying yourself first becomes truly powerful when it's automatic. Because the truth is, we are emotional with money. Some days we feel responsible. Other days we feel stressed, tired, or tempted to reward ourselves. And when saving depends on a decision, emotions usually win. All it takes is one difficult day, one impulse purchase, one moment of, I'll save next month, and the habit breaks. Automation removes that risk completely. You choose a fixed amount once, and every month it moves to your savings or investment account without you thinking about it. The money disappears before you can spend it, and that's why it works. You no longer rely on discipline, which is inconsistent. You don't debate, and you don't postpone. It keeps working even on your worst days, when stress, fatigue, or distractions would normally stop you from saving. Imagine just $50 moving into an investment account every month. At first, it feels insignificant and almost too small to matter, but over 20 years, with compounding, that $50 grows quietly into a substantial amount, enough to fund small dreams or create real financial security. This is what automation really does. It trains your mind to see saving as normal. There is no emotional struggle, no feeling of sacrifice, and no monthly decision. It simply becomes part of your life. And here's the surprising truth. Small amounts saved automatically almost always outperform large amounts saved occasionally, because consistency builds the habit, and the habit is what quietly builds wealth. 6. Build and protect an emergency fund. Life does not move in a straight line. Unexpected things happen: a medical bill, a broken appliance, a car repair, or a temporary loss of income. And when there is no money set aside for these moments, one surprise expense can undo years of progress. Because without a safety buffer, people are forced into decisions that damage their future. They turn to high-interest debt, or they withdraw long-term investments at the worst possible time. Both choices slow down or completely reset wealth building. This is why an emergency fund is so powerful. It acts like a shield. Most financial experts suggest saving 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a simple, easily accessible account. This money is not for investing. It is not for spending. It is for protection. Imagine suddenly needing $2,000 for something urgent. Without an emergency fund, that expense goes onto a credit card, and the interest follows you for months or even years. But with an emergency fund, you handle the situation immediately and continue your financial plan without disruption. Nothing breaks, nothing is reversed, and that's the real purpose of this fund. It doesn't make you rich directly, but it protects your ability to become rich. It prevents panic decisions. It also removes emotional reactions, and it stops small crises from turning into long-term setbacks. This quiet stability allows everything else, your saving, your investing, and your compounding, to continue working in the background, because wealth is not only about growth, it is also about protection. 7. Delay gratification and let time work. Human beings naturally want rewards now. Buying something today feels good, but waiting feels uncomfortable. But money does not grow because of speed. It grows because of time. Delaying gratification means choosing long-term gain over short-term pleasure. It doesn't mean you never enjoy your life. It simply means you become intentional with your decisions. Imagine you want to buy a device worth $800. Instead of purchasing it immediately, you wait for 6 months and you invest that money. At first, nothing dramatic happens. The growth looks slow and almost invisible. But over 20 years, that $800 can more than triple. And in over 30 years, it becomes even more. So the real power is not in one decision, it's in the habit. If every year you delay a few unnecessary purchases and invest that money instead, the long-term difference becomes enormous. This is what wealthy people understand. Before they spend, they pause and ask, will this matter in 5 years? Is this temporary excitement worth losing future freedom? Because time is the most powerful multiplier in finance, but it only works when money is left untouched. And every time you delay gratification, you give time the chance to do its job. This choice is quiet. No one congratulates you for not buying something. There is no immediate reward. But years later, that discipline becomes visible in your financial freedom. 8. Leverage compounding. Compounding is often called the most powerful force in building wealth. And the idea is simple. Your money earns a return. Then that return starts earning its own return. And over time, the growth begins to accelerate. But in the beginning, it feels slow. For the first few years, nothing looks dramatic. The progress is small, almost easy to ignore. This is where most people lose patience. But those who understand compounding stay consistent because they know what time is about to do. Imagine investing just $100 every month with a modest 6% annual return. After 10 years, you have about $15,500. After 20 years, around $42,000. After 30 years, close to $90,000. Same monthly contribution, no increase in effort. The only difference is time. That's when you realize something powerful. Time multiplies money more than the amount you invest. This is why starting early matters so much. Waiting 5 or 10 years doesn't just delay your progress. It dramatically reduces what you end up with. Because in compounding, the early years carry the most weight. Small, consistent contributions made early are far more powerful than large contributions made later. And the most surprising part is this: compounding is silent. It doesn't feel exciting. It doesn't give instant rewards. It doesn't look impressive in the moment. But in the background, year after year, it quietly turns ordinary savings into real wealth. So the goal is not to invest huge amounts. The goal is to start early, stay consistent, and let time do the heavy work. Because when you leverage compounding, time becomes your strongest financial partner. 9. Track your money with honesty. Most people don't really look at their money. They assume they know where it goes. But when they finally check, the reality is different. Tracking your money is not about restriction. It's about awareness. Because the moment you begin to observe your spending honestly, patterns start to appear. Small habits that once felt harmless suddenly reveal their true cost. You might discover you spend $300 a month on food delivery, $120 on subscriptions you rarely use, or frequent impulse purchases that quietly add up to hundreds. Each one feels small in the moment, but together they become thousands every year. This is what wealthy people understand. They pay attention, they review their statements, they know their spending categories, they are aware of where their money flows. And that awareness changes behavior naturally, not through guilt, not through force, but through clarity. Because when you see the numbers clearly, you begin to ask better questions, like, do I really need this? Is this aligned with my goals? What would happen if this money was invested instead? Tracking doesn't require complex spreadsheets. It only requires 2 things: honesty and consistency. And over time, small adjustments made from that awareness redirect large amounts of money towards saving and investing. Because what gets measured improves, and what is ignored continues unchanged. Quiet wealth begins with simply paying attention. 10. Prioritize consistency over perfection. Many people delay saving or investing because they are waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect income, the perfect plan, or the perfect timing. But perfection rarely arrives. Wealth is built through consistency, not perfection. Small amounts invested regularly outperform large amounts invested occasionally. Even if you save and invest 10% of your income every month for 25 years, with mistakes along the way, you still build significant wealth. There will be months when expenses rise, and there will be unexpected setbacks. There may even be years when investments perform poorly, but consistent contributions over time smooth out mistakes. Think of it like planting seeds. You don't plant one seed and expect a forest. You plant repeatedly, and you water regularly. Then growth happens gradually. Consistency builds momentum, but perfection creates paralysis. Wealthy people focus on repeating good habits, like saving monthly, investing regularly, avoiding unnecessary debt, and tracking their progress. Even when motivation disappears, the systems they set up continue quietly in the background. This is what makes wealth feel effortless after many years. Consistency is not dramatic. It doesn't give instant rewards, but over decades, it becomes powerful. If you step back and look at all 10 principles, none of them are extreme. They are not secret formulas. They are not risky strategies. They are not based on luck, and they are simple behaviors. But wealth does not grow from intensity. It grows from repetition. Over 20 or 30 years, these small actions create enormous differences between two people earning the same income. One spends slightly more each year. The other saves slightly more each year. At first, their lives look identical. After decades, the difference becomes undeniable. Wealth rarely announces itself while it is growing. It builds quietly in the background while daily life continues. The truth is simple. You do not need dramatic financial moves. You need steady, repeated, intelligent decisions. Small money choices, made consistently, quietly create freedom. And freedom, built slowly, lasts.